Today, I'm going to show you how you can clone your voice, your face, and bring family pictures to life, and how much fun that can be, and how that same technology can be used to scam you out of everything. 11 years ago, deepfake technology evolved to the point where you could put any face on virtually any body, and it looked real ish. I mean, just look at Rogue One, for example. But now, with the power of AI and the technological power behind it, everything that's digital can be manipulated, and anyone can be anyone, including you. As with any new tech, the most aggressive players in the beginning are those choosing to use it for evil over good. So, what can we do to enjoy this tech and protect ourselves? Let's find out. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. As always, I appreciate you being with us today, especially if you're a Gen X white collar worker who suddenly feels like their career path is heading in directions they didn't anticipate. Well, you've come to the right place. Welcome home. Today, we're going to look at some of the AI powered tools that allows you to clone your voice and your face and manipulate digital assets. And we're going to show you how that can be fun and also the different ways that it can be used against you. Now, personally for me, I love 3D, like 3D, not in life. We exist in 3D. I'm talking about like 3D pictures, 3D movies, 3D TVs. I actually still have a 3D TV and a 3D Blu-ray player. So I really enjoy that because I like the idea of like, especially pictures where you feel like you can just step into the moment, right? Like if I could just step through that picture, I could just join that moment in history right then. And I always love that. But with the new AI technology, I don't need 3D to be able to step back in time. For example, here's a picture of my mom, and she's holding me as a baby on her lap. Yeah, I'm very happy in this moment, it looks like. Now, one of the reasons this picture means so much to me is that I'm the last of a lot of kids, and there were not a lot of pictures of me growing up. I don't know, there's probably like 6 pictures of me between this moment, sitting on my mother's lap till, like, high school. I'm serious. My mom used to have one of those Kodak Insta chromatic cameras. I don't It was just one of those cameras where you put the cassette of the film, it was like the roll was here and it automatically fed to here, and you just slap that into the camera, and then you'd take a picture and move the frame over, bring the film over one more frame, and then you would turn that whole cassette in to get it developed. And they would come in like 12 pictures or 18 pictures or 24 pictures and things like that. Unlike today, pictures had to be developed, and that cost money. And so you didn't take a lot of pictures unless it was an important event. So my mom would like take out this camera with the film already in it, and she would take her picture, and then she just put it back in the drawer in the hallway. We had this cabinet in the hallway. And then the next time something interesting came up, she'd just take that out, take a picture, put it back in. Now, when I was about to go to college, we opened up this drawer and there was a couple of these cassettes of undeveloped film, and they were each like the 12 picture one. So we took we took them in, and in one 12 pictures, literally my entire puberty existed. So that's how infrequent pictures were taken, especially me being the last of a lot of kids. So this picture with my mom really means a lot to me. So what would be cool is that if I could bring it to life somehow, it would be great to be able to, I don't know, watch my mom bounce me on her knee, you know? And here we are. Now, the motion isn't perfect. My mom's face adjusts a little bit. I found that anytime I've tried to manipulate this picture, my eyes, because they can't see my eyes, AI can't, when it opens up my eyes, are basically black, which is looks kind of demonic, like a possessed child, of which I was not. So it's not perfect, but the technology is only going to get better. This technology is so new. But the fact that I was able to upload my picture, this was to GROK's new tool called Imagine. And the fact that I could just upload the picture and just put in a prompt and say, have the mom bounce the baby on her knee. So it turned that still moment in my life into a moment of movement. It's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. And the fact that you could do it so easily is pretty amazing. The ease of which that this can occur makes it both easily accessible and easily used against us. That's just the way with any technology. So I want to go into showing you how I put this together and some other options because I went through a lot of different options of trying to bring either make a new picture or bring a picture to life in video. So we're going to go through that. But before I go there, I have to start with some positive AI news because I realized looking over the past episodes that I've spent a lot of time being cautious about the where AI is in its lifespan. And I don't I do a lot of research for these episodes. Takes me a lot of time. It's just me. And so, but as I'm reading you know, these articles, if there's something that surprises me or concerns me, I figured it would surprise and concern you. So I feel obligated to share it with you. And of course, it's human nature to be surprised and shocked by negative things than positive things. So I wanted to go out of my way to, at least in the beginning of this episode, point out some of AI's wins. Because I want to be fair when representing this tech. It's going to get better, it's going to get more powerful, but it's already had some pretty cool wins. So the first article is from Nature, printed it out, and it says how AI is unlocking ancient text and could rewrite history. And this has been going on a couple of years, and I actually ended up getting like three articles about this. But I'll cover this first one a little more in depth and then highlight the other two because they kind of overlap since it's related to the same basic idea. So back in 2023, these researchers found these papyrus scrolls that were burnt as part of like Mount Vesuvius going off, right, on Pompeii. And they were remains at this villa called the Herculeanum. Hercule, Herculeanum? Yeah. And so this papyrus scroll was discovered there. So they tried to use AI to see if they could figure out a way to uncover the text in this document. The reason they could see it is because the ink had iron in it and it reacted to the CT scan. So it made those letters kind of glow. The writing was clearly legible in this scan, a few lines deep and stretched out across 5 columns. So, using AI, they were able to identify the letters in the scan because the scan went through all the pages, was able to identify these glowing letters, be able to predict what they were in order that they should be in the language of, I think it was Greek. And then because of that, they were able to digitally unfold or unroll this burnt papyrus scroll. Isn't that crazy? So these researchers were now able to read these lines of text that hadn't been visible for over 2,000 years. It's amazing. Now, the project was called the Vesuvius Challenge. And basically, artificial neural networks were being used to decipher these ancient texts, from the classical stalwarts of Greek and Latin to China's oracle bone script, which is ancient divination text written on cattle bones and turtle shells instead of like writing Greek on papyrus. And so this goes back to, I think it was the first episode where we talked about how these large language models work and how they were trained and the way they worked. And were trained is that they predicted the next letter in a sentence. That's how they give you information right now. You go to ChatGPT, it doesn't think of an idea and then put it in text. It actually figures out the answer based on probabilities of the data and the training that it has of what word should come next to tell you the right answer, hopefully. And so they used this same technology back in 2023 as it's reading the Greek and then it's saying, oh, well, it's maybe this word is or letter is hard to see or understand, but it makes a prediction. And more than likely, it was often right. So the AI tools can recognize more languages and store more information than any one person can know and discover statistical patterns in text for themselves. These technologies promise a fundamentally new way to explore ancient sources. But the current excitement comes from the use of neural networks, which compare hierarchical layers of interconnected nodes. That sounds so impressive. I have no idea what that means. I researching neural network things is it's on my list of things to do, but I'm going to believe them and be excited about it, right? Aren't you? Yeah. Now, Chinese teams were trying to study the Oracle bone predictions there, the Oracle bone script. And they tried a whole bunch of models to fill in the images of the lettering that had eroded over time. And the analysis of how Oracle characters evolved over time, it knew this from its training, which is crazy, right? It's kind of like think of like how the English language in America has evolved since like the inception of the country to now, and all the dialects in there. Well, it's been trained to know that, right? So it could do the same as well. You give it enough information on these Oracle bone scripts and how they've evolved over time, then it can identify, not only predict what it is that it says, but it could also predict when it was written. Isn't that amazing? So it began to show like huge potential in translating and filling in these gaps of text. And they did this using a thing called recurring neural network. It's designed to take sequences of data where the lineal order matters, right? So, like a sentence, right? The way we write a sentence, that's linear. The next letter matters, and so that's how this recurrent neural network was designed. So they initially trained this neural network with a model called Pythia, I believe it's called, that had tens of thousands of Greek inscriptions written between the 7th century BC and the 5th century AD, then showed the model of text that it hadn't seen before and asked it to suggest the missing words, right? That's what it does best. So they followed this up with a model called Ithaca. And this makes suggestions for the date and place of origin because of how it is written. This time, the researchers took advantage of a breakthrough in machine learning called the transformer model, which captures more complex language patterns than the recurrent neural network and is able to analyze different characteristics of an input, such as characters or words. And it's able to do this in parallel, and it weights them according to context. And this is exactly how they built the large language models. That was this is a real world example of how they trained AI and how they train these large language models through trial and error, through weighting, through probabilities. When it's trying to give you an answer, it's just it's predicting what's the probable next word in this sentence based on all the sentences that I have in all the words and everything in my database. I have, weighted them and evaluated them. So if a person asks very specific types of data, I go into that large language model, I look at the probability and the weighting that I've already been trained on, and then I make a prediction, and more than likely it's right. And this is a real world example about how they did that. Now, this is really fascinating to me because I think this is where AI and humans can play nice together. And I think that's where you and I, Gen Xers in this AI world, can also play nice with the tool. So in test, Ithaca restored artificially produced gaps in ancient texts with 62% accuracy compared to only 25% by human experts. But experts aided by Ithaca's suggestions had the best results of all, filling in gaps of an accuracy of 72%. Also, Ithaca was able to identify the geographical origins of inscriptions with 71% accuracy and dated them to within 30 years of accepted estimates. And you can actually use Ithaca online. I'll put it in the notes. It's free online. I don't know how the process it works. I'll have to check it out myself. But yeah, pretty cool that this tool is available. We'll finish up here. So okay, so I actually reading this through, I actually misspoke. Um, one of the challenges with the Herculaneum scrolls is that it did not have iron in the lettering. It did not use iron in the ink. That was actually back in 2015. They read text from a charred unopened scroll from Israel, and it ended up being a part of the book of Leviticus. So they were able to do that because the CT scan made the iron glow. With the challenge they have right now with the Herculeanum, Hercule, you know what I'm talking. Well, I don't know that place is that the writing in the papyrus is actually carbon-based ink, and it's invisible to scans, and it has the same density as the papyrus it sits on. So they realized they couldn't see the ink directly, but they may be able to detect its shape. So they put it out to a test, and this winning team used a more recent variant of a transformer model that's normally used for videos. And it was able to separate the depth dimensions of the papyrus from the appearance of its surface. So the indentations of the writing. Isn't that crazy? It's like when you write on a piece of paper and then you take that off and the paper underneath has the indentation. Yeah, it's kind of doing that. Since then, the contestants have been working to improve their ink detection algorithms. So that's a great example. And again, real world example of how large language models work. Now, quickly, some of the other examples is that they were able to decipher ancient languages like the Sumerians. I think it's called the cuneiform. The most famous Sumerian text is the Epic of Gilgamesh, which talks about this king's quest for eternal life. That's what I love about humanity, man. We're so predictable. But we're also always looking for immortality. What's great about using AI to uncover how to decipher this is that cuneiform is the writing system behind around 15 languages that span over 3,000 years. So to be able to decipher just one opened up the door to deciphering all these others. That's really awesome. And one more article about ancient text owned by Caesar's family that they were able to uncover. It's translated the characters to reveal the author discussing the sources of pleasures in life, referencing music and food. Again, I love this. So, again, humans are humans. In one passage, the author, Philodemus, questions whether things in lesser quantities bring more pleasure. It says, and I quote, as to in the case of food, we do not right away believe things that are scarce to be absolutely more pleasant than those which are abundant. So just because you don't have it doesn't mean it's better, because you can have a lot of food and you know what? The next time you eat, it still tastes great. So great wins for AI using its strength of the large language model of predicting the next word to uncover these ancient texts. And that's really awesome. All right. So I've done it. I flattered AI, patting it on the back for its successes. Yeah, that's what I did. All right, so now let's go into how to clone your voice, clone your face, play around with pictures and things like that. And then we'll end with the ways that you can protect yourself from scammers. So I tried a lot of different tools and I did not pay for tools. A lot of this stuff right now, until I learn what's going to win, I don't want to invest money in things. My dad used to say a lifetime warranty doesn't last as long as you live. It only lasts as long as the company lives. So, this time again in AI and technology reminds me so much of the early times in the internet. We had all these people jumping into the space to try to make a name for itself, to get the market share. Just think of, like, you had Corel. Remember Corel Draw, and Corel had a whole suite of tools. And then you also had Microsoft doing that. And then you had Photoshop doing like Corel Paint, and then you had Paint and Microsoft and Photoshop and Adobe and others. And so it's really hard right now to know which of these solutions is going to end up being the one that wins. So I'm reluctant to spend a lot of money, preferably no money at this point, to invest in some sort of monthly subscription to a tool that I'm not sure is even going to be around, honestly. Um, the winners will win, rise to the top, and they'll all be consolidated into a few big players. And until that happens, I'm just going to try to play around with what's available. Now, if I were doing this for business, right, if I were in the video space, of course, I'd be investing a whole bunch of money into all these different tools. The challenge is that every tool the next day has a new upgrade or a new version, which is better than all the other tools. And then one of the tools over there upgrades and is better than all the other tools. And there's this constant escalation, which is fine. I mean, that's where innovation and competition really are the key to capitalism. Everyone wants to make the best, and they're all making each other better by doing it. But I am not in the visual audio space outside of this podcast for work or things like that. So I'm just going to show you the free versions. Also, that way you can play around with them too. They're free or semi-free, mostly free. Like, what I mean by semi-free is they're free until they'll give you some tokens, an amount of free usage, and then you have to pay for it. It's just like ChatGPT, you can get some use out of it, but then if you want all the use, you got to pay for it. So anyway, enough about that. But the first thing I want to focus on is how to clone your voice. And this is really amazing tech, because it used to be you needed to record your voice for like 2 minutes or a period of time, or even though you could like upload up an hour's worth of your voice, and then it could create audio that sounds like you. And now it's like, hey, if you give us 10 seconds of your voice or a voice, we can clone it. It's crazy how good they are. And I think the reason they're able to do that is before you would upload your long audio file with all your variations, so it knew how you spoke. I think now the tools allow you to manipulate any voice with variation. It doesn't need so much data. to be all of you and all your variations. It just needs enough to clone your voice. And then using its tools, you can vary how quickly you speak and how, variations you have in your voice and things like that. I think that's why they were able to speed that up. But, my mom, she's passed away, but when she was in her 80s, she once got a phone call in the middle of the night from someone claiming to be one of my nephews, so one of her grandsons. And to keep his identity, I haven't asked him to talk about this, so I'll just call him Sam. That's not his name. So my mother got this call in the middle of the night, frantically, that this person claiming to be Sam needed bail money immediately because he was arrested for something. And so my mother, you know, believed him, but was confused. She said, Sam, I don't understand. Why don't you just tell them what you do? I mean, you're a police officer, which is true. And the scammer hung up. But now, if they can get an audio file of Sam's voice, then they can be Sam. And it's a lot harder to figure that out. So that's what some of the challenges with this tech. But you can also have fun with it. For example, one of the things, so if you've done audio work or narration, even with this podcast, I could let's say I do this podcast and I misspeak. I'm sure that's true a lot. But let's say I like had lost my voice for a short period of time and I needed to get this podcast out. Well, I could go in and text, write the text for the audio and have it come out in my voice, my pseudo voice, and then paste that in there and cover up, that error while I couldn't speak. Another thing I was trying to do too is my mom used to write before blogs and everything. She used to write this email to the family, and she'd do it once a week, just keeping everybody in touch with what was going on. And so I thought it'd be cool if I could take her voice and actually read those things to us. I thought that would be cool. The challenge is I can this is before all this technology was available. I don't have her a good quality version of her voice yet. So, but that's the ways you could use it kind of in a cool way for family. If you have someone that's passed along, yeah, it can be creepy for some people. So I wouldn't do it to like, you know, scare people or freak people out. You could hear your mother say that she loves you one more time or something like that, or your dad or whoever. So that's a cool way to use it. But you could also use it professionally if you're a narrator, if you do podcasts, things like this. So let me show you how that's done. There's a great company that I'm not getting paid by any of these people. So there's a great company called 11 Labs, and I've been using them for a while for various purposes. They're really good, and they continue to improve their their offerings. They have you can do your voice. They have a whole bunch of voices that you can use for free. Some then you have to pay for, and they're really great. It's just crazy how good this technology's gotten. So you're going to go to the 11 Labs website and you're going to have to record your voice, and you can add as many different examples as you want. But I'm going to use ChatGPT to provide enough of the best sentences I could use for this purpose, right? Has the right variation of words, different ways to speak. So let's do that first. I'm going to go into ChatGPT and I'm going to say, hey, why don't you create a 300 word paragraph that a man should use to create a voice clone, right? And let's see how long that is. I don't really know how 300 words are. So, hello, my name is Pete. Okay, that's going to be too long, but it's good. Okay, let me see if I can make it shorter. Yeah, it says, do you want me to make it shorter for 150 words? Yes, please. So I do, and it's okay. I think this will work. Okay, so I'm going to read this into the tool when it comes that time. Hello, my name is Pete, and this is a sample recording to capture the natural sound of my voice. I'll use a variety of tones and pacing so the model can learn how I really speak. For instance, I might greet someone warmly. Hi there, it's nice to meet you. When I explain something, I'll slow down. Artificial intelligence helps us recognize patterns, process information, and make decisions more efficiently. And when I tell a story, my tone shifts. I remember walking outside on a cool evening, hearing the crickets, and feeling calm under the night sky. Oh, I ran out of time. All right, I'm going to continue with the next paragraph for the second section. Okay. This recording is not meant to persuade or sell anything. It simply reflects how I naturally sound. You'll notice clear words, natural pauses, and some variation in pitch and rhythm. By including greetings, explanations, and a little storytelling, the passage gives a well rounded sample of building a voice clone. Okay, so I made that into two recordings because I ran out of time, which is okay. And so we'll upload both of those recordings into the tool. And now we're going to go next. I'm going to name it as Pete Podcast, language English, and I'm going to use it to generate speech. And now I'm going to write something and use that. So I do a test. Let's see what it sounds like.
This is a test of my new voice clone. Let's add some words here to see how it all sounds.
It's a little fast. I need to slow that down. It's pretty similar. I mean, it's okay. It's not perfect, but for the purposes of this video, it's good enough. Let's put in some text that I would potentially use on the podcast. So I'll use the line I usually open with to welcome Gen Xers, especially new Gen Xers, to the podcast. So if you're a Gen X white collar worker that suddenly feels like your career path is heading in directions you didn't anticipate, you're in the right place. Welcome home. Okay, so now let's listen to
If you're
this.
a Gen X white collar worker that suddenly feels like your career path is heading in directions you didn't anticipate, you're in the right place.
He sounds
Welcome home.
he sounds bored, really. All right, so we need to uh, make it more variable. Um, make it a little slower speed.
If you're a
Start.
Gen X white collar worker that suddenly feels like your career path is heading in directions you didn't anticipate, you're in the right place. Welcome home.
Nah, not good enough. Not good enough. It'd probably be better. Usually, you can help by using punctuation or spacing things out. So I'm going to add a comma here. See if that helps.
If you're a Gen X white collar worker that suddenly feels like your career path is heading in directions you didn't anticipate, you're in the right place. Welcome home.
That's pretty good for these purposes. All right, so we're going to download that. That's what we'll use. So that's one way that you can use this tool. Again, really simple to make voice clones of your voice. And that's pretty amazing. So think about it still helps. The more audio that you upload to create this clone voice, the better because of all the different variations. So now let's put it into, I don't know, a simple tool just to show let's just take a picture of mine and we're going to add this audio into it and see what it does. Now we're going to use a tool called HeyGen to do this. They have some free options there. So let's try out that. I've uploaded my voice and I've now selected the picture. This is a picture. I think I use a version of this on LinkedIn actually. All right. So it's created this version of me. So far, so good. Let's see how it looks.
If you're a Gen X white collar worker that suddenly feels like your career path is heading in directions you didn't anticipate, you're in the right place. Welcome home.
All right. So that's actually pretty good. I like its teeth are nicer than mine. I mean, mine aren't horrible, but those are perfect. So that's one thing you can find out. Also, sadly, I am not as expressive as I think in my head. This person is more expressive. And those are the subtleties, the cues that we look for in real life to know whether someone is, who they are, right? If they're having a good day, bad day, they're micro expressions that we look at and we say, like my kids, for example, when you're raising kids, they, for the first couple of years of their life, depending on their how they progress, they're not going to speak in full sentences, and so you can understand when they're in a good mood, bad mood, hungry, sad, angry, whatever, in pain, without words because you can read their face. So when they get older, like I remember when my kids were teenagers, and I'd be like, "What's wrong?" And it's like, "Nothing's wrong, Dad." And I'm like, "Listen, I know I've seen this face before you could talk. What is wrong? And then they'd say, okay, this is what's wrong. So my point about that is that we are very, very, as a species, very, very key on micro expressions and body language and understanding things. And so I think this does a pretty good job of mirroring the voice with the mouth and everything like that. Except if you knew me, I don't express my facial expressions as much as that, and my teeth aren't perfect like that. I mean, that's pretty good, but not that, but pretty good. So let's try another thing. Here's a picture of me wearing this cap, and we are going to do another version. Let's have it do it, and let's see what this looks like here. I'm sorry. On this page, why is it? I guess I don't know if it's like the middle, like the default thumbnails are like the middle of the video, but it looked like I'm blowing a kiss or something. It's creepy. It's weird. Okay, sorry. Let's go ahead and all right. So let's play this. Uh,
If you're a Gen X white collar worker that suddenly feels like your career path is heading in directions you didn't anticipate, you're in the right place. Welcome home.
all right. Again, not bad, right? It does a really good job, I think, of matching the voice to the face. The challenge is the voice isn't perfect and the face isn't perfect, especially if you know me, right? But here's I've talked about this before, but if you're an emotionally crisis situation, rationality usually leaves your brain. Something like this may be good enough in a crisis to convince someone you are who you say you are. So if someone were to do this, make them believe they're me, or someone you love, make them believe they're them, they may get away with it, even with this sloppy version of it, because it's those subtleties of who I really am and the people you love really are that you would notice the difference. You'd say, Pete doesn't express himself like that so much, right? So that's really cool, right? If you wanted to animate, again, someone you love or that has passed on, or just have fun with family pictures and things like that. So now let's check out Grok. Let's check out Grok's new thing again. By the time you see it, probably won't be new at all. When I was growing up, and I don't want you guys to get mad at me about this, but when I was growing up, one of the great posters in human history was the Farrah Fawcett poster, right? So I said, let's see what it's. And again, these are just experiments. I threw it up, and if you don't, the first time you put the stuff into um, Grok, it'll create its own version. It doesn't let you prompt before it starts, so it'll give you a version, and then you could then add a text prompt and have it do something else. So I just uploaded the picture of the Farrah Fawcett video, and it did this. So I don't know if it's unnecessarily sultry, but the point is that it moved. Her hair moved. All the background, like it's really good. This tech, and this is simple. This is like really, really simple stuff as far as the world of this capability is. But that was really good. So that's one way that that technology can be used. Some of the challenges, though, is there have been when it comes to audio, for example, there was a woman who got a phone call supposedly from her daughter who was frantic and crying and said she was kidnapped and that the kidnappers wanted money. And so she believed her. The voice sounded real, but it was a cloned voice. And then eventually she called her husband and her daughter and found out that that was all fake. But again, my mom got called in the middle of the night and, tried to scam my mom out of money. And here people are, they're doing the exact same thing, except they're using a voice that you love. But we'll talk about ways you can protect yourself from all the misuse of this tech. Now, another thing that I wanted to try out, and it was pretty cool, is I saw this one video of this guy who took footage from I think it was Breakfast at Tiffany's. This is with Audrey Hepburn, and he like did it really good. He put a lot of time and energy into it. He dressed up to fit the video he was going to put himself into. So he's able to put himself um into like sections of the movie, except it's just him and Audrey Hepburn walking places. It's only a couple seconds long, but it's really, really good. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try that. I'm going to try taking someone that I've always admired And so I was trying to think like Audrey Hepburn. I couldn't use her, and so I always liked Sophia Loren. I thought she was really good. So I'm going to say I get to see if I can take me and put me and Sophia Loren in, um, in a picture together. Let's start with that. Let's try GROK first. And I think I tried this actually right before the release of Imagine. So it may be a lot better at this. I don't want to bang down on GROK too much about this, but I asked if I upload two pictures, can you make a new picture of them together? And it said, yeah, sure. So I uploaded the picture of me with the hair. And then I took a photo of, off that I got off the internet, of Sophia Loren. So I said, please take these pictures of these two people, put them together on a movie set, right? So as if I'm visiting her on the set. And this is what it gave me. Who are these people? Who are these people? That doesn't look like me or Sophia. And I said, I'm going to be offended on her behalf. So I asked, did you even look at the faces in the pictures that I sent you? Like, did you? Because it doesn't look like it. It went through and it's thinking about, what did I do? Maybe I didn't do it right. So it's going to try again. It's going to try again. Let's see what it does. This is pre their latest video option, audio option. Yeah. Well, I look like, I don't know, like an old guy who runs a pawn shop here, and she looks like, I don't know. It's not a positive. None of these look like us. All right, so that was not the option. Um, but again, I have not done this test since they had their new release of Imagine, so I'll give them a break. But then I tried. Let's just take a picture of. I used a Google. So what I said is, I want you to take the head of the man in the color picture and put it on the body on the man on the left in the black and white picture, and save it as a black and white picture. And nothing. It didn't change anything. Oh, I see a trend forming. So I'm like, yeah, that's not me. I was like, all right, let's start over. Because sometimes, it tries to remember conversations. And so I think sometimes that gets in the way. It confuses it. So if you ever run into these problems, just say you're starting over. So, okay, let's start over. I put in that picture. I said, I want to change the head of the man in this picture. Can I upload a picture of a man to use to replace the head of the man? Here's the picture of the head I want you to use to replace the one in the first picture. So I take the picture of me. Do you understand? If so, please make the change. And so then it did that. And it's not me. It's basically put my features kinda on Cary Grant. So he has glasses and he has a beard. That's not my nose. That maybe my eyes. I have blue eyes. I don't know. But that did not work. All right. So let's see what we else we can do. All right. So now then, the video I saw the guy do it was in a program called Vidu. I think it is Vidu. So let's go to Vidu. Vidu. Okay, so here's a part of the interface of Vidu. And so you put up an image and it identifies the image. And then I put in there, listen, create a video. This is actually creating a video, not a picture. So, because I couldn't get the pictures to work. So we're going to create a video. So create a video of image one and image two having a fun conversation on a movie set. Now it has this pro mode where it will enhance that prompt into something far more specific for its own benefit. So, on this example, it says, on a bustling movie set, this is the subject, a distinguished man with graying hair, a full white beard, and black rimmed glasses, clad in a black t shirt, gestures emphatically with his right index finger, because that's in the picture that I uploaded, as he speaks animatedly. He's engaged in conversation with a woman boasting curly dark hair and a vibrant red floral dress cinched with a gold belt. She listens intently, punctuating the discussion with laughter and enthusiastic responses. Their lively exchange and expressive body language convey a sense of fun and engaging interaction amidst the organized chaos on the film set. And then it also tells itself what is the environment. Well, the environment is on a dynamic movie set, teeming with equipment such as cameras, lighting rigs, and sound recording devices. Crew members move purposely, fine tuning adjustments and prepping for the next shot. Partially built sets, props, and screens populate the background, contributing to the energetic and busy atmosphere characteristic of a film production environment. Okay, sure. Let's see what it does. All right. So there I am. What's the video? I think I have a little more hair than that, but that's okay. So I'm pointing with my finger. I grab my finger, and that's the joke. It's only for like 4 seconds long. But the funny thing is, you can't see her. The whole point is to show that I can place Sophia Loren and I in either the same picture or the same video, and it's still. I mean, it did it, I guess, but I couldn't see her. So we're going to do this differently. I want to make it simple. I just want them to be. I don't want them to do anything. I just want them to sit next to each other on a porch, and it's really nice outside. They're just enjoying the breeze. So let's do that. Sitting next to each other, looking forward, enjoying the breeze. I said looking forward because I want to see Sophia Loren's face. And then it filled out a whole bunch of other stuff, talking about the man subtly taps his finger on the chair's armrest while the woman slightly adjusts in her seat. Okay, fine. And so here we have this version. Oh, this is interesting. All right. Clarification, especially for my wife. Um, for some reason, it has us having our hands on the same location. It's kind of like when you want to get a video game where the characters interact in a weird way. Well, this is like her hands on her armrest and my hand is on her armrest as well, or my armrest, and it looks like we're holding hands. But it does do the hand movement, which it said it would, and then it moved her face. She looked at me and then looked at the camera. Now that's really really good. I mean, I want to look at this closer. So first, Sophia Loren looks like Sophia Loren. That's pretty amazing. And it does look like we're sitting next to each other. That's also pretty amazing. The movement of me is since I'm not speaking, it's not going to get those things wrong. It's a subtle move, but it's amazing. But then you look behind, right? When you watch this behind, you have tree branches. The leaves on the or the fronds on the palm tree is moving. On the green plant over Sophia Loren's right shoulder, our left. All these things are moving in the breeze. It has good depth of field. So the background's out of focus and we're super in focus. And that's really, really good. And it actually looks like that I'm sitting here with Sophia Loren in her heyday. So that's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy awesome. But it also means that, well, it brings up some questions, legal questions, I think. And this is where the tech is ahead of the law because what this technology currently allows you to do is it currently allows you to take a picture of anyone and combine it with any other picture, put it together, and then you can actually publish it online. So think of all the ways that that could be used cool in a cool way, but think of all the ways that could be used badly, right? So I took a so I wait, it was like 30 years ago in the 90s. I was in shooting this little video. I used to shoot small movies and things like that. And so I had this still that I had from one of the video shots. I'm really young. So that's me when I was really young. Sadly, that's the before picture uh, that my wife married, and I'm the after picture that she stuck with. I want to apologize now and forever for that. Okay, so here's me contemplating. That looks like me. Those expressions are me. And then I don't know why it gets orange, but that's weird. But what's impressive about this, again, this is a GROK Imagine. What's impressive about this is a couple things. It kept the quality of the image. So this is like a screen capture of a video. I think it was shot on mini DV back in the 90s. So it kept its aesthetic, which is really interesting. And so it actually keeps its age, so to speak. So if you didn't know, especially the people who worked on this video with me, this could have been an outtake and you would never know, which is crazy. The other thing, which is weird, is that this final smile is not my smile. It looks more like a Tom Cruise smile, you know? Look at it, right? Little like Tom Cruise. So that's pretty cool. So what I did is I said, I wonder if I can, what would happen if I took the still that this is based on, the first frame here. If I took that still and I added it to another picture that of a different format, different everything, different quality, and just put them in there and see if they could interact, because that's really where the cool stuff and the dangerous stuff can come from. So what I did is I'm a big Star Trek fan, so I found a picture of Kirk on the bridge, William Shatner, and so I just uploaded like me, right? It doesn't match at all. Let's watch this epic.
We've got a problem. The readings are off the charts.
And so it has me speak some words here, which is not in my voice, which is interesting. And and then out of concern, we end up holding hands. I don't know why. This is like when you upload the picture and then it gives it a shot without you prompting anything. This
We've got a problem. The readings are
so
off
he's
the charts.
noticing me and we're holding hands. So look at the end of the right. It's just, this is so stupid. Okay. But I'll play this again because it's so stupid. No, but what's amazing though is I took this static image of Shatner and I put a lesser quality screen grab of me, and I actually, but I took out the background. I used AI to say, "Hey, take out the background," and then I put the picture on top of the other picture, and then I uploaded it. Right, so you have these two pictures, two different qualities. But what's amazing is that when it decided it was going to do this scene, GROK did without prompt, it then had us it. We knew we were both there. Knew we were both there. So, the Shatner image turns to me and looks at me, and then we react at the end, and our hands we're holding hands together. So even though it's like a really crisp picture of Shatner on the bridge and a screen grab of me from a mini DV 30 years ago, it was able to put this together and have them interact. Let's watch it one more time.
We've got a problem. The readings are off the charts.
Sorry. I love Kirk's expression, like, I don't know what to do, but let's hold hands. Maybe that'll help. Another one is I just said, "Hey, what if instead of that this is my next thing is I don't want to hold hands with this guy." Let's say they look at each other like something dangerous is going to happen, and then they laugh as if it's all a joke. So we do that. Again, I'm still in mini DV world. Those laughs are far too aggressive. Those look like angry, possessed laugh. I don't know. They're weird laughs. So it's not completely realistic. The way we stop is horrifying. Let me move this to the front so it's not. But again, the characters recognized each other, and look, all the movement of these people. You you know, it's crazy. It's just crazy. Like all the movement, like the lights are blinking in the background. The door is about to open, but stops in the background. So this is amazing tech. And so you can have a lot of fun with it. I have. I know with GROK, with Imagine, you could just upload a picture, play around with it. You get, I don't know what the number is, but you only get so many before you have to pay for it. And, but it's quite a bit. I don't know how many, but it's quite a bit. But think about what I did there and think about what people could do with that in a negative way, sadly. There's just a lot of legal things that have to be worked out. So think about what I did there with Shatner and me and holding hands. So let's say you're in the middle of a divorce and it's not going nice. And you took a picture of your spouse, and then you took another picture of a coworker, and then you put them together, and then you had AI tell them to kiss, and then you take a still of that and say, "Look, I have a picture of this person cheating." Right? That's just one thing, but it can be used in so many negative ways because there is no law against this stuff. So eventually, this will be nailed down as it should. I don't know how they're going to work it out because I don't know how to track all that information. What form do I have to use? Right? Uh, how is it stored? Where does it go? You know what I mean? I mean, right now actors are and should be like my take on what actors should do, because there's that digital actress that came out and everyone was freaked out about that. I actually wrote a post on Facebook because I have friends that work in Hollywood, and who are actors, and I said, If I were you, I would no longer be cast in a movie. I would have my IP licensed for a movie, even if it's me in form, human form. I'm actually on set acting in person because you don't want to be cast. You want that IP license because of AI. They could digitally use that, and I would have the license last um, as long as agreed upon. Could be for the life of the film or for 5 years until after the film is released or things like that. I'd also protect my image and likeness and the way I walk and talk and express up to a certain percentage that you would agree upon, whatever that would be, 90%, 90, like it, you can't use it without paying me if it's, 80% looks like me, walks like me, talks like me. Because now everyone knows it's really based on me. And so you have to license me again, my image and likeness. I think that's the way actors are going to need to do that because it's the only way to protect themselves. It also gives them a lot of revenue streams. Like I believe, is this true? I don't remember exactly, but I don't know if it's James Earl Jones. But if I'm Morgan Freeman's family, James Earl Jones's family, I am licensing his voice, right? Like, I mean, once they pass, right? The estate would license their voice. But right now, none of that's really defined because right now, this tech is already being used as I talked about the mom getting the phone call with the voice cloning. There have been multiple cases where people have used during Zoom meetings, had live AI faces that were not them with different voices that were not them to go through interviews. They were used by, like, I think, North Koreans to get jobs in IT in America, making believe they were somebody else. And, so many things are done virtually. They got away with it. So this technology has been used also to steal money. This is really clever, but again, part of the dangers is this guy was on a guy or gal, I don't know. This happened in Hong Kong, but an employee was on a call, a Zoom call, and he thought he was with all of the staff that he works with, including the CFO. But all of those people were deep fakes. All of them, as he was the only actual employee on the call. And this deep faked version of the CFO said, I need you, and I give you the approval to transfer $25 million, I think it is $25 million to this account, as we're doing business with this company. And he did, because he was on a call with the CFO and other employees, and none of them were real, and they got away with it. So that's the challenge, right? With the tech, it's crazy. I mean, awesome and crazy. And one final thing that really people need to be careful of, especially if you have um, children that are in the dating age, this is going to be used to catfish and scam people badly on these dating sites. So please educate your family about all this tech. You can share this episode with them. Educate your children who are dating using online dating services about the possibility of this. All right, so let's get to how to protect ourselves. Now, one of the things you should do is you and your family should have a safe word. Um, and what I mean by that, and it can be different, like it doesn't have to be the same safe word for everyone, but you should have safe words so that if you're on a call or you get a phone call or video call from someone that you're just not sure, just doesn't feel right, or it's really urgent and you really want to validate that this is the person who they say they are, ask them to say that safe word. We have that in our family. We have safe words. So we will know if there's ever an emergency, or even subtly, if someone in one of my family calls and just throws that safe word into a sentence, I know they're in trouble. Maybe they don't want the person to know that I know they're in trouble, but they've just told me so. So those safe words could be used in that respect, or they could be used to protect yourself from fraud. Another thing is, if you have these video calls, um, just make sure, again, if this is if it's a critical moment, urgent situation, ask them to do specific things. Raise three fingers, whatever things you want them to do, wave, say hi, anything like that, just to make them respond immediately to a request. Because if the person is real, they would just go hi, three fingers, whatever you need. So simple things like that can break them because they can't react that quickly. Or you'll notice with the videos of my face that they may do it, but it's not the way the person would do it, right? And then you could question them and ask for other things. Again, this tech means that anybody can download any picture anywhere. So be really careful. you probably have your picture in a lot of places. Just know that that can be used. So you probably want to try to diminish the amount of your image and voice online. I mean, I'm doing this, so it's the way it's got to be done. But but if you don't have to, or you're worried about the possible negative consequences of this tech, then you want to remove all of that as much as possible. One thing that's really cool is that as this AI technology has improved, there are also AI technologies that will actually detect the whether a video or audio is AI, and that's pretty cool. So these tools will identify if it's a deep fake. It'll detect whether it's a deep fake, the voice, the face is not real. And what they do is that they use machine learning for face and voice recognition, and uh, and they can use this, and they can just again, AI is recognizing AI, right? So AI will know how it would work to create these images, and so it's looking for indicators that we may not be aware of that are systemic or programmatic or whatnot that it can use to identify whether it's a real video or real voice or not. They have deepware scanners, they have sensitivity AI, they have Hive. All these are different tools that are used, whether it's an enterprise level, personal level, for you to be able to identify whether what you're getting is real or not. I think eventually this will get rolled into like your virus scanner stuff. I think eventually this will be like part of your malware virus scan tech. It'll just be part of the package or something like it. That's the way I think it's gonna unfold. And so the final thing I'll say is what this really means is that it can be a lot of fun to use. Like I said, I got to see my mom bounce me on her lap, so that was kind of cool. But it also means that you literally have to question everything you are seeing online. Now, when it comes to the next presidential or I don't know, local elections, you're not going to be able to trust anything online. You're just not. They already did this with the last presidential election, not with this level of video and voice, but there was already images that were manipulated with you could see duplicate of people in crowd scenes to make someone's speech look like there were more people there. So this has already been used, and I think because um, especially in that space, if the ends justify the means, if there's any space in business or politics where that is valid to the people involved, then it won't matter. Like I believe you're going to end up seeing stories that are about a political person that is completely made up, and the people will defend it by saying, "Well, that may not have been true, but what it was saying is true." Like the overall intent. Like yes, this candidate didn't actually key a car of a rival, but they had been mean to him, and so that's just a visual expression of that truth. I think you're going to see crap like that too. So first off is going forward, you have to be super skeptical of anything that is online, sadly, because we have geared our entire life to be online. Second, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to use it specifically to manipulate you as they've done with social media already. So that's another thing you have to protect yourself of. And finally, I think this is where there's an opportunity for Gen Xers because one of our greatest values is we grew up before the internet. So we are really naturally skilled at talking to people in person, where a lot of people growing up in a post internet world are more comfortable talking to people virtually. So I think in person events are going to be so much more valuable. I don't know how that will play out, but I really believe that in person events are going to be the only thing that people can count on. And so there may be this shift. I don't think everyone's going to do it because most people are too entrenched in their habits. But I think there will be a shift of a large enough segment of society that will prefer live events. So this tech is amazing and it's incredible, but be cautious. Really be cautious. If any video is pushing you in one emotional direction or another, be really cautious about that because people who manipulate are going to manipulate. This is like a whole new way to manipulate people, and it's sad, but it will be used. It's just the way it is. Anyway, I want to thank you all for joining me here today. I hope you had some fun. I know I had fun. And don't forget to stop by our Skool community. I want to build up that community with Gen Xers so we can get together, we can network, we can be each other's advocate, we can help each other learn this tech, not just this tech, but AI as a whole, because I believe that with our real life world experience, our technological adaptability, and the ability to use the latest tech, AI, I think you combine that together. I don't think there's anyone more valuable in that situation than a Gen Xer who knows AI. So join the Skool community. It's free. We'll get together 3 days a week, usually, unless things come up with appointments. I have a thing there called Morning Brew, and it's just to hang out. Like I show up every day, whether people are there or not, and I just start my morning 3 days a week just hanging out. So if you want to go, hang out, talk about whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just an informal get together for a half hour before we officially start our day. So you can do that there as well. Anyway, thank you so much. Please share this video with other people. Do the things that people ask you to do so the algorithms like it. Hit the buttons, say things, whatever you can. I'd appreciate it. Anyway, I hope you have an amazing, amazing day, and I'll see you guys next time.